I just want the court to know that this guy is a piece of garbage. My daughter introduced me to this guy one time, and I didn't like him from minute one. Not much more I can say about this guy other than I wish I could handle this and serve justice on his ass right now. And that's it.
That is a father standing in a courtroom talking about the man who shot his daughter 15 times as she tried to crawl out of a window to save her own life. And what makes this story even harder to sit with is that every single warning sign was already there long before that morning came.
Admit that you killed Alicia.
Yes.
And you admit that you shot her 15 times.
I didn't know how many times. I didn't sit there and count.
You shot her until it ran out of bullets.
All right, let us get into this story properly, because there is a lot to cover and every single part of it matters. Alicia Lofton was the kind of woman her whole family leaned on. The people who loved her described her as outgoing, warm, and full of life. The type of person who would give you everything she had before you even thought to ask. She had 3 children who were everything to her: an oldest daughter who was finishing up university, a son who was just starting his own college journey, and a youngest daughter still in high school. Those 3 kids were her whole world, and anybody who knew Alicia knew that about her without having to be told. Now, the man who would end her life was named Marcus Lofton, and right from the start, this relationship had red flags all over it. The two of them got married on February 26, 2023 in Las Vegas, and while a Vegas wedding is not unusual on its own, what makes this one stand out is who was not there.
Any of her children attend that wedding?
Nobody attended, just me and her.
Yeah, okay.
Just the two of them in a Vegas ceremony that nobody else knew about because Alicia had hidden the marriage from everyone around her. Her father said that the one time Alicia introduced Marcus to him, he did not like the man from the very first minute. And Alicia knew exactly how her family felt, which is why she kept the whole thing quiet. When a woman feels like she has to hide who she married from the people who love her most, that's usually because some part of her already knows what they would say if they found out. So what does this man Marcus actually look like on paper? On the surface, he presented himself as someone with standing in the relationship, someone in control. But within 3 months of that wedding, the truth about how he operated behind closed doors was already coming out into the open. By May of 2023, Marcus had been arrested for domestic violence against Alicia, and the court responded by putting a no-contact order in place as part of his bond conditions, which meant he was legally not allowed to be anywhere near Alicia or the home they shared. But Marcus wasn't the type to let a court order slow him down.
You were at the house quite a lot, right?
Yes.
Violating that no-contact order?
Yes.
He admitted on the stand under oath that he kept going back to that house regularly even though the court had told him to stay away. The order existed on paper, but in practice it wasn't stopping anything. Nobody came to enforce it or check on Alicia, and Marcus just kept showing up like the order didn't apply to him. Now, Marcus later claimed in his testimony that he was the one who asked for the divorce after the May arrest, that he was the one who initiated the separation. But the picture that the court records and the family paint is much clearer than that. Alicia was done. She had already been through one violent incident with this man, watched him ignore a legal order meant to protect her, and she had made the decision to get out of this marriage through the proper channels. She was doing everything right, going through the court system, filing papers, and trying to handle this the legal way, and the people who knew her best understood what was at stake. So now we know who Alicia was and we know what this marriage looked like from the outside. Let's get into what actually happened on August 17th, 2023, because the sequence of events on that day is important and every single part of it matters. Alicia had been served divorce papers, and according to what Marcus told police when they spoke to him, that's what started the argument that morning. Marcus had been in the house the night before and slept on the couch, which right away tells you this was not a peaceful household in any sense of the word. At some point that morning, he left, but then he came back to collect his belongings.
And you didn't have to come back there after that, right?
Yes, I did have to come back.
Okay. And that was to get your stuff.
Yes.
So your stuff was very important to you.
Yes, I had to get a pack on and stuff.
When he came back, Alicia was awake and going about her morning, wearing her robe, getting ready for the day. And at some point during whatever conversation followed, Marcus testified that Alicia mentioned she was seeing someone new, and those words landed badly on him. He admitted under cross-examination that her saying that affected him, and from that point the morning started moving in a very dark direction.
Even when she said the things to you that made you so mad about the new person she was dating, you could have just left, right?
Yes, it's a lot of things I could have did.
That's correct.
Marcus walked over to a white table in the front area of the house, opened the drawer, and took out a gun. The gun was already loaded, already had a round in the chamber, and by his own account did not have a safety on it. He picked it up with his left hand, which is his dominant hand, and Alicia saw him standing there holding the gun.
And you said to the police that Alicia saw you with the gun and said, "What are you going to do with that?" or something to that effect.
Yes.
And as a result of that, you didn't just leave the house, right? You stayed at the house with,
Yes,
with
correct.
the gun in your hand.
Yes.
She asked him what he was going to do with it, and he stayed. His car was parked right outside. He had his keys, the front door was right there, and he chose to stay in that house with a loaded gun in his hand while his wife stood in front of him terrified. What happened next is documented clearly between the court records and his own testimony on the stand. Marcus swung the gun at Alicia's head, and whether he made direct contact or not, the outcome was the same. She ran.
Talking about hitting her in the head with the actual body of the gun.
I don't even know if I actually hit her. That's what I'm saying. You see me.
Okay, but you must have swung your hand that was holding a gun
Yes,
at her head.
yes.
Okay, another decision you made.
Yes.
Alicia made it to a bedroom and locked the door behind her. Marcus, still holding that gun, followed her down the hallway, found the door shut, and instead of turning around and leaving the house, he kicked the door in.
Instead, what you decided to do was follow her to the bedroom that she ran towards, right?
Yeah, that's evident.
Okay. And then the door is now shut. She shut the door behind her, right?
Yes, that's evident.
And instead of, again, turning around and leaving, putting the gun down, even bringing the gun with you as you left, you decided to kick in the door, right?
Like I said.
When that door came open, Marcus saw Alicia trying to climb out of the bedroom window. And that is the moment where you would expect anyone with even a small amount of humanity left in them to stop, to see what they had driven this woman to, and to walk away. Marcus did not stop. He fired 15 shots at Alicia as she went through that window and came to rest on the grass below it. And he kept pulling that trigger until the gun had nothing left in it.
Shot her even though she was trying to escape the house.
Well, yeah.
And you shot her as she was lying in a heap on the grass beneath the window.
I don't know if that's.
After that, Marcus didn't call for help. He didn't call 911. He threw the gun away somewhere, got in his car, and drove off, leaving Alicia on the grass outside that window with 15 gunshot wounds to her head and body. Somebody else found Alicia and called it in. By the time first responders arrived at the home on Union Avenue in Grand Rapids, she was already gone.
2 people are dead after 2 shootings on Grand Rapids' south side. The incidents taking place this morning within hours of one another. News 8's Demetrius Sanders spoke with the sister of one of the victims. He shares their message.
The most recent of the 2 shootings happened at a home on Union Avenue Southeast at around 8 this morning, claiming the life of a woman. Tonight, that woman's sister says she's shocked about the situation. A morning of violence in Grand Rapids. At around 1:40 a.m., officers say a man was shot on Burton Street Southwest between Division and Buchanan. He later died at the hospital. Just more than 6 hours later, a woman was killed after shots were fired on Union Avenue Southeast near Oakdale. Police say they don't believe the 2 incidents are connected, and the second shooting was likely a domestic incident.
Her best friend called me and was literally hysterical. And I'm jumped up, what's going on, what's wrong? And she said my sister is gone, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like, I just talked to my sister a couple days ago. What are you talking about? I get here, she's already gone.
Cassie White says it was her older sister that during the on Union Avenue.
I'm just so lost for words. I can't cry. I'm cried out. This hits home.
She declined to identify her sister, but says she was a mother of 3 with the heart of gold.
My sister was fun. She was goofy. She liked to go out, have a good time, very well dressed. She loved her kids, make sure her kids was intact and ordered before she did anything.
White says her sister was in a relationship and she's surprised domestic violence may have been involved in her death.
It was very shocking because I could never, see that type of thing being, something my sister would, be dealing with.
While talking with News 8, White says she's keeping in mind the many people impacted by that type of violence.
It's becoming too common nowadays in Grand Rapids, let alone Michigan. It's not fair. It's not fair.
She says her sister was known by many, and this is a big loss.
I love my sister, and I'm definitely gonna miss her.
Now, a suspect has been arrested for the shooting on Union Avenue. Police say a person of interest has been identified for the shooting on Burton Street, but no arrests have been made.
Court records confirm she died from multiple gunshot wounds to her head and body, and police began working the scene, pulling together the evidence that would eventually be used against Marcus in court. The shell casings scattered around where Alicia fell, the broken bedroom door, the window she had tried to climb out through, the surveillance and physical evidence inside that house, all of it started building a picture that was impossible to argue against. Marcus, for his part, didn't run far or long. He turned himself in to police and was charged with open murder for Alicia's death. While he sat in custody waiting for trial, Alicia's family was left trying to hold themselves together and figure out how to explain to 3 young people why their mother was never coming home.
At noon, we're learning more about an early morning shooting on the southeast side of Grand Rapids that killed 1 person. 13 on your side's Nate Belt joins us live from the scene with more.
Yeah, we're right now at the intersection of Union and Oakdale, southeast side of Grand Rapids. Want to give you a look specifically, 1400 block of Union. You can see just down the road here, police continuing to investigate outside of the home. You see that umbrella on the ground, 2 officers standing outside. That is where they've been going in and out of all morning. Chief Eric Winstrom tells us they got a 911 call reporting gunshots in the area around 8 this morning. When officers arrived, they found a woman inside the home here. The suspect wasn't found immediately, but Winstrom says they were able to track that person to the northeast side of Grand Rapids. That's where they were taken into custody. Now, the chief also tells us the suspect and victim were not the only ones who lived inside the home.
We know that there are kids that live in the home or that frequent the home, talking to neighbors. We're trying to locate those children. It's very much developing where we're trying to figure out everyone's identity and where everyone lives. Our first priority is to locate and identify those kids and make sure they're safe. We're working on that actively right now.
Now, again, Chief Winstrom emphasizes there is no ongoing threat to the public at this time, as this was believed to be a domestic incident. And as you heard him say, the investigation continues by the Grand Rapids Police Department, and we will continue to follow up on that and bring you updates as soon as we have them, both on air and online. But for now, reporting live in Grand Rapids, Nate Belt, 13 on your side.
When this case finally got to trial, the prosecution built their entire case around something simple but devastating, which was making Marcus walk through every single decision he made on the morning of August 17th and explain it, out loud, in front of a jury, 1 step at a time. Because the defense Marcus was leaning on was essentially that he had lost himself in the moment, that everything happened too fast for him to think clearly, that he was not in his right state of mind and therefore should not be held fully responsible for what he did. The prosecutor was not having any of that.
Let's go over the decisions that you made that day. You made a decision to go get that gun out of that table, correct?
I don't get what you're asking.
You decided to go get the gun out of the white table in the foyer, right?
Yes.
She walked him through it step by step and made him confirm each one out loud. Walking to the table and opening the drawer was a decision. Picking up the gun and staying in the house after Alicia saw him holding it was another decision. Following her to the bedroom and kicking the door in was also a decision. And pulling that trigger 15 separate times, each one requiring him to physically choose to do it again. Those were 15 decisions made one after the other with full control of his body and his hands.
So each step, you're thinking step forward, right?
I can say what I was thinking.
So you just accidentally walked over to the table?
I don't remember exactly how everything went. It just was happening so fast. I wasn't.
Family is sharing their grief tonight after a Grand Rapids mother was shot and killed last week.
According to court records, the suspect is in custody. It's the man she was trying to divorce. Our Julie Dunmeyer joins us with more. Julie.
Yeah, Josh and Max, family tells me it's hard for them to even hear Alicia Lofton's full name because she shares the same last name with the man who allegedly shot and killed her. Loved ones saying their main focus right now is on the 3 children she leaves behind.
Loving, outgoing, high-spirited, give you the clothes off her back, loved her kids, loved life.
This is Alicia Lofton, pictured here with her 3 children.
My oldest niece is graduating college next year, and her mom's not going to be there. She's going to be looking in the crowd to see her mom. It's going to suck that my nephew isn't going to Grand Valley for his first year, and he's looking for his mom to be there. It's going to suck for my youngest niece in high school who's not going to have her mom to pick out her prom dress.
And Alicia's loss will be felt long after she's gone, says Faustino Garcia, the family spokesperson.
Terrible, very terrible. Growing up, Alicia was like a sister to me.
A sister, now gone. Court records say on August 17th, Alicia was killed by multiple wounds to her head and body. Alicia's husband, Marcus Lofton, now in jail, charged with open murder for her death.
These kids have lost their mother, they lost their matriarch, they lost somebody that cared for them, and that's where I want the light shed on more, as not being shed on that guy.
Court records give Fox 17 a better idea about the final moments of Alicia's life. Marcus allegedly told officers he'd been served divorce papers, and an argument followed. During the argument, Marcus told officers he tried to hit Alicia with her own Glock, but the gun went off. Next, Alicia reportedly locks herself in a bedroom. Marcus told officers he broke down the door, found Alicia crawling out of the bedroom window before he opened fire.
Definitely a tragic loss because of the tragic story behind it as well.
According to court records, Marcus and Alicia are said to have had a history of domestic violence during their time as a married couple. The two were married in February, but just a few months later in May, Marcus was arrested for domestic violence, accused of harming Alicia. Court records say he wasn't supposed to have contact with Alicia, a condition of his bond from the May arrest. Family saying the hardest hit by all of this are Alicia's 3 children.
To find out that your mother was tragically, my oldest niece is 22, my nephew is 19, and then her youngest daughter is 14. So they're handling it as best as they can.
Family hoping this tragedy shines a light on domestic violence and the loved ones left behind.
We shed some light on, domestic violence, I know it's tough for a lot of women to speak out, but just speak out on it.
Meanwhile, a GoFundMe has been set up to help support Alicia's children during this time. Her oldest daughter is set to graduate from Western this year. Her middle son is starting out at Grand Valley this fall, and her youngest daughter is heading back to high school soon. Live in the newsroom, Julie Dunmeyer, Fox 17 News.
At one point during cross-examination, Marcus tried to reframe his state of mind by saying he was not angry at Alicia, that what he was feeling was closer to being hurt and embarrassed.
Right?
You said I was mad at her?
Yeah.
I want to say I was more hurt and embarrassed. I wasn't really, I don't know. I don't really know. It just happened so fast.
Even in making that argument, he could not keep his story straight, circling back to the same phrase over and over. It happened too fast. It happened too fast. The jury heard all of it, weighed it against 15 shell casings and a broken bedroom door, and made their decision.
Firing that gun one after another.
Well, you can say that, yes.
I can say that?
You know what I'm saying?
So that's
how you want to put it, yes.
So that's a yes. Firing that gun 15 times.
If that's what you said, yes.
Marcus Lofton was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison, with an additional 2 years added on for a weapons violation. He is not walking out of there anytime soon, and depending on how the parole process goes over the next few decades, he may not walk out at all. But for Alicia's family, a sentence handed down by a judge does not fill the space she left behind, and nobody made that clearer than her father, who stood up at the sentencing and let the whole courtroom know exactly how he felt.
I just want the court to know that this guy is a piece of garbage. My daughter introduced me to this guy one time, and I didn't like him from minute one. I don't know if he understands how close he was to being a dead man. And right now, I cannot stand being in this room with this bastard. And if it was up to me, he would not walk out of here. You know, I listened to some of the things he said about my daughter's family, not wanting her, not spending time with her, but that's all a lie. She hid getting married to this bastard from the whole family because she knew we despised his ass. And I just want the court to understand that my daughter didn't get humanized in this trial while they let him speak and lie. And it was despicable.
That last part is the part that stays with you. He was not just grieving his daughter, he was pointing out something real about how these trials work. Marcus got to sit on that stand for hours and give his version of events, explain himself, be humanized in front of the jury. Alicia, the woman whose life he ended, got to be evidence. Photographs, bullet casings, a medical report describing what 15 rounds do to a human body. The woman who her family described as someone who would give you the clothes off her back, who raised 3 children on her own strength, who was trying to leave this man the right way through the courts, she did not get the same floor to tell her story. And her father was right to call that out. A GoFundMe was set up to support Alicia's 3 children after her death. Her oldest daughter went on and graduated. Her son started at Grand Valley State. Her youngest is still in school, still going, still pushing forward. They are managing, but they are doing it without the one person who was supposed to be there for all of it. What happened to Alicia Lofton was not a surprise to the people around her, and that's the most painful part of all of this. The warning signs were visible. The violence had already happened once and been documented. The court had already intervened, and she still didn't make it home. Marcus shot her 15 times the day she was served divorce papers, left her on the grass outside her own window, and then stood in a courtroom and told a jury it all happened too fast for him to think. 15 trigger pulls said otherwise.
First at 5 o'clock, an emotional day in a Kent County courtroom as a judge sentenced a man to decades in prison for killing his wife.
Marcus Lofton shot his estranged wife, Alicia Lofton, multiple times just a day after she served him divorce papers.
13 on your side's Callie Lichter was in court, and Callie, Lofton also faced a jury.
That's right, Elena and Juliet. Lofton took his plea deal after a mistrial in May, which came less than a week into the trial. A Grand Rapids man will spend over 2 decades in prison for killing his wife in 2023. It happened the day after Alicia Lofton served Marcus Lofton divorce papers, just 6 months after they were married. He went to trial in May, but it ended in a mistrial. Then, months later, Lofton pleaded guilty to felony firearm and second-degree murder in her killing.
The day that I found out she was gone, I felt like my legs collapsed.
Several family members of Alicia addressed Lofton in court, saying they disapproved of him and knew he wasn't right for her, like her aunt Jennifer Lee.
I feel that he wasn't introduced to the family because he's an embarrassment.
Alicia's father, Arthur Joseph, had strong words for Lofton.
I just want the court to know that this guy is a piece of garbage. My daughter introduced me to this guy one time, and I didn't like him from minute one.
And said Alicia hid her marriage from her family because they despised him.
Not much more I can say about this guy other than I wish I could handle this and serve justice on his ass right now. and that's it.
Alicia's daughter stared directly at Lofton as she told him he took her biggest supporter away from her.
So I just want you to know you will never win. And I want you to think about this for the rest of your life.
While Lofton's attorney says he's remorseful, Lofton was still sentenced to 2 years for felony firearm, followed by 25 to 50 for second-degree murder per the plea deal. Judge Scott A. Noto left Lofton with a brief statement before he was taken away.
I don't have anything further to say, Mr. Lofton. I think Mr. Joseph said it best, so I refer you to his words.
Lofton has just shy of 2 years of time served credit. Callie Lichter, 13 on your side.
Kelly, thank you. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, there is help out there. You can call the number right now on your screen for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Here's the question I keep coming back to with this case. At what point does a no-contact order actually mean something? Because Alicia had one, she did everything right, and she still didn't make it home. Drop a comment and tell me what you think needs to change, because this conversation matters. And if you want to keep watching, the next video is right there for you. Stay safe out there.